Okay, we are on filmsgonewild.com. My name is John Wildman. I'm the editor-in-chief of Films Gone Wild. And on this segment, here at Dances with Films LA at the Chinese Theater and Ovation in Hollywood Highland, we're going to talk about the closing night selection, Captain Tsunami. All right, so we have extra emphasis on this because, like the Highlander, there can only be one. All right, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tessa Munroe. I play Desiree Ann Sedona, and I was a producer on Captain Tsunami.
Hi, I'm PJ Marino. I wrote it, I helped produce it, and I'm one of the stars.
Okay, introduce us to Captain Tsunami. Our audience has not seen the film as yet.
So, yes, Captain Tsunami. So he started as a comic book in the 70s. It was a very popular comic book, and then became an 80s cartoon.
PJ, he's talking about the movie.
Yeah, I know, but okay. I'm this is like setting up the whole thing, and then I know this is an hour and a half interview, guys, and then he became a big movie franchise, okay, yeah. So basically, Captain Tsunami the movie is a mystery drama with a huge,
becoming very meta for a moment.
Yeah, is a huge comic book with a huge comic book element. So this young 12-year-old girl shows up at my door with a bag full of comic book drawings based on Captain Tsunami, and her mom has disappeared, and had told her, not too long before, hey, if anything ever happens to me, bring this bag of drawings to this guy like 500 miles away, this strange man, because he'll know what to do with it. He'll know what it means. So the mom goes missing, played by Tessa, and so she runs away from home, takes a bus, and shows up at my door 500 miles away. And then it becomes us trying to decipher what the mom was doing with the comic book story, and
unraveling the mystery.
And we want to know what happened to her. We don't know where she is, and so it's unraveling that mystery, and then figuring out what did she mean by all this. So
it is absolutely fascinating, and I'm saying, and even beyond being entertaining, beyond being fun to watch, the idea behind it. And in fact, I was just saying this to the last interview. I said, I'm a person as a filmmaker. I'm going, I don't think I'll ever con anybody else into giving me money to do another movie. But if I do, then I'm going to make something that nobody's ever seen before. Like, that if I describe it, then people go, holy shit, you're going to try to do that? That's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Because what I don't want to do is my version of X, Y, Z.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And you go, oh, that's nice, John. Well, good luck with that. Right? And so when I see a film like this, I go, oh, shit. All right. Well, this is a cool thing. And I want to start off with literally the visuals. Because by its very nature, we have animation, but we have various forms of animation. Because we're going to the rotoscope, we're going to classic animation, we're going and then translating it into the real people we're seeing on screen. There's a wonderful connective tissue that it all creates, and I would love for you both to talk about that in singularity, in terms of, beyond the acting, beyond this or whatever, what we're putting on screen is this kind of unusual thing.
Yeah. Do you want to?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron Sherry, our director, is creatively brilliant. And
he's a comic book nerd. Yeah,
yes,
go ahead.
And he's a comic book nerd. And he did some of the effects himself. We also, the transitions from what's on the page, the comic book page, to being real life. And we also hired Wolverine effects for a few specific shots as well. And it just makes it pop. It kind of has an element like Princess Bride, as you've mentioned, a little bit of that. And that magic was so important to capture, and I think that Aaron and our director, Karen Gibson-Bell, just nailed it.
Oh, and I forgot to mention earlier, so Aaron's brother, Dominic Sherry, is a brilliant artist, and he did a lot of the sketches.
Yes.
And we couldn't have done it without him.
Thank
and
you,
then
Dominic.
we also hired a bunch of other artists and said, here's the template, like give us your take on Captain Tsunami and on these characters. So they came up with different styles. Because it's Desiree's artwork, and Desiree is a very unique mind, and so we wanted it to show all her different sides of her personality. we initially shot the footage that you see that's when the comic book comes to life. We shot that footage in 2019, a long time ago, and we wanted that to look like every frame. We wanted it to look like a comic book frame. So that was the inspiration for that. And then when we decided to make the grounded reality that would flash to the comic book footage, we wanted to make sure,
shot in 2022.
which we shot in 2022. We wanted to make sure that it would represent all the different styles that Desiree did in her comic book. So that's where I think that kind of answers your question. Yeah,
It does.
Yeah.
All right. So we have two very distinct challenges we're going to talk about now. First off, we're going to talk about acting in the project like this.
Yep.
You know, in the film itself, we actually see Jeremy Sisto in the green screen suit, the little balls on him and
Yeah.
everything, you know, that you have to do. And so, you know, as actors, when you're doing stuff where you're being animated literally with what you're doing, or what you're doing is then going to be animated later, and you know, and it's like, you know, up is down, down is up, and what the fuck are we doing? You know, it goes way beyond simply doing a scene between two people and, you know, and focusing on it. There's so much technical stuff that you also have to keep in mind to do properly that goes beyond just the human performance connected behind, but also so that Aaron, you know, goes, yeah, that was useless. You know, yeah, it was wonderful, but we can't use it because of X, Y, thing. So talk about that, just from the acting perspective of what you had to go through to make sure that, yes, this is a great performance, and it also works technically because this.
Yeah, I think, you know what, we didn't really have to worry about it technically.
Really?
The original
That's what I was
footage, where is like the comic book footage within the movie, we were very specific with those three characters, you know, Viper, Sedona, and Jelly, that they're kids playing in a sandbox. That was kind of like our thing. So like you'll notice that, you know, Craig, who plays Viper, his voice cracks a little bit when he talks. He's, you know, Sedona is very like whimsical and kind of all over the place, and Jelly is very jelly. For those who see it, Jelly is very unique. And honestly, you know,
No, don't give anything
us.
away.
No, well. I used to when I used to go to the Burbank movie theaters, in Burbank downtown, there was a security guard there. That I loved. He was a very unique man, and he would always just walk up to me. He almost felt like a child to me. He was, you know, maybe 40-ish, 30 mid-30s, and he would come up to me and he would just go, "Did you see the new trailer?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, and he just pulled his phone up and he would show something. They're showing it. It's really good. There's sharks in here, and I'm just like, this guy is going to be a character for me. Like this guy, you know. So I based Jelly on him, honestly, and that was one of the inspirations for, you know, my character.
Bless him. Yes.
So it just became playing the scenes. Honestly, we didn't have to really worry about that.
It was
that's
still like actor, regular.
Yeah, so
actor mode.
yeah, and then playing the
Honestly,
playing the grounded footage is just, you know, playing it real and playing the moments and you know, yeah, just having a full life as the character.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's surprising.
Yeah.
So it's no big deal for you guys. All right, whatever.
Yeah, you just play it honestly. Yeah.
All right. The next is, which you've already introduced a little bit, is the fragmented nature of what it took to get this to the screen.
Yes.
With a number of years and,
Yeah.
and some hiccups in between and some space in between and
The pandemic.
Pandemic in between. Yeah.
and pandemic in between.
Sat for a year and a half. Yeah.
You know, all that kind of thing. And like, you know, I know I had a feature where I ramped up and to filming, and then we were only able to raise half the money, so we literally had to stop the entire process and then start from scratch again for another 2 years to get up to that. And that was just that. That wasn't even putting footage together
Right.
and having like a terabyte lying around, you know, and going, well,
Yeah.
so I'll get back to that, you know. And go,
yeah.
So talk about it, and talk about, you know, because many filmmakers have gone through this in various stages, but for you guys, talk about what it took to keep the faith.
You want to talk about it?
But there were moments when we didn't keep the faith.
Yeah, we thought it was dead. So
Moments. But also our executive producers, Carla and Michael Buellman, have been such an integral part of keeping the faith, along with PJ, has been amazing to reignite people. And Aaron Sherry, our director. But it's definitely been a roller coaster of feelings, and especially with the pandemic. We hadn't shot 100% of the initial script when the pandemic occurred, and we thought we were going to get back to it. And then when PJ started, he's not an editor by trade, and he started putting a rough cut together, and we realized it wasn't really going to work in that form. We had a lot of Zoom sessions with our producing team during the pandemic, and that's when it decided, he and the team decided, okay, it's worth rewriting, because the original footage was that good and special. There was
the scenes worked individually, but
Yes.
it wasn't quite landing the way we wanted it to land as a feature.
as a whole, yeah.
So and then I had met that young actress, Madeleine McGraw. She played my daughter in a commercial. I played Vince Lombardi. She played my daughter, and she says, "Green Bay isn't even on the map." And I say, "It will be when I'm done." So I told the mom. The mom was on set. I'm like, "Your daughter is amazing. Oh my God! Like please stay in touch. I'd love to work with you guys again." And then we got the idea of maybe writing this kind of father-daughter dynamic. And I called the mom and was like, if I wrote this, before I even wrote it, I said, if I wrote this, would you think that Maddie would want to do it?
Yeah.
And knowing that there's very little money, everybody working SAG, ultra low budget scale. And she's like, absolutely, let me know. So I was like, let's do it. So we went back and forth and came up with the idea and sculpted the script, and a lot of back and forth Zoom sessions. And what was the initial question? I already lost track of. Oh yeah. The whole long process.
Yes.
So there were many times where I'm like, how are we going to finish this? It's dead. And then someone would come along and would save the movie. And
Karen Gibson Bell.
Yeah, our editor,
the
Karen Gibson. I had
put in way more time than we thought.
I had a cut that was like fine, and I'm like. And then Aaron's like, maybe we should hire somebody. And then we scraped up a little bit of money, and only for like a month of work, honestly. And then the month ended, and we told Karen, we understand if you want to take off. And she's like, no, I want to finish this. And she worked for that month became 10 months.
Yeah.
So
and bless her, because she believed in it.
Yeah, lots of people that became part of the family and then just saved the movie, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do have to say really quickly about Madeleine McGraw in this film.
Yeah.
That there are so many scenes, especially early on, where it's basically just her at the table saying, "You're full of shit," and then
As
other-
kids
in
do.
various ways.
As kids do,
variations on
Yeah.
the theme
Yes.
of you have no idea what you're talking about. You're full of shit, and I was like laughing, going, if you're the actor, or if you're the director trying to communicate, going, well, we're kind of seeing the same thing here, but this time it's a little bit different because we're doing this, right? And I could just imagine, her in those moments.
The poor girl, we were doing 75 pages in 6 days in a house. And monologues.
Yeah.
So, God bless her.
She did
We
so much work.
we had our scripts below us. What are we doing now? Because it's such a thing, beat by beat thing. So
In between takes.
Yeah. Oh, of course. So we were telling the last people that we talked to, like, we couldn't have done it without her. Writing that role. If for some reason she booked some other big thing and she had to leave, I don't know who we would have cast. You need an amazing act at that age to come in and nail that stuff.
To carry it like that.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, when you have something that has fantastical elements, like this does by its very nature, then you need a force of personality to ground it. Oftentimes, to kind of, and while this isn't exactly like that, but basically to be the connection to the audience, to go, you're seeing this, right? And this will happen, or what have you, and again, like I said, this gets into a different direction of that, but she still kind of serves that role of, for us to go, okay, we'll stick with it because she's pushing him, she's pulling out of him, and what have you. Again, I think it's and I don't always say this, but I think it's just delightful.
Thank you.
And no, absolutely. And and of course I didn't know the back history of what you guys had to do to get it to this point, but that makes it all the more special. To know that you go that you reach against all odds. I don't want to go Phil Collins on us all. But congratulations, you guys.
Thank you so much. Thanks for all your help too. And you did the trailer, right, for the festival? Was that you?
No.
That was another guy.
No.
But you've been emailing us with all the information.
I'm just a person annoying, going, okay, this is the orange carpet. Okay, these are the interviews. This is how we do the press.
Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Again, screening at Dances with Films LA, the closing night gala. Tonight's a big night. All right, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.